Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Priscilla and I'm from Pretty and Pate, and if you've clicked on this video, you probably noticed by the title that this is a quick little tutorial on how to make the Maebelle Granny Tote, which is one of my newest patterns. This is what it looks like. It's super cute. I figured I'd make just a small little intro on what I will be going over within this video. And what I will not be going over within this video. So what will I not be going over is the granny squares. This is pretty basic. So you'll need 2 granny squares. One square is smaller than the other by 1 row. And then I will not be going over the straps in this video. So the straps is basically a Romanian cord. It's just using multiple strands of yarn. For these, I use 4 strands of yarn, and then I also use an 8mm hook to make these. If you need help on the straps, there is a short on my YouTube somewhere showing you how I make these. What else did I want to say? I forgot. Oh, if you're wanting to line your bag, you're going to need at least a minimum of half a yard of fabric. This is just an estimate. I'm assuming you guys are not making totes bigger than what I am going to be showing today. If you're going to go bigger, then I would wait to purchase fabric if you don't have any, and measure and make sure that you buy enough to line your tote. You'll also need fabric glue to attach the liner to the bag. A sewing machine is helpful unless you want to use a needle and thread. That's totally up to you, or you can glue down your seams. Totally up to you. What else am I going to go over within this video? Oh, I'm going to go over basically how just to put together the bag. So I'm going to go over the sides and the opening. So there's like an edging on the opening, and then I'm going to show how to attach the straps, how to cut the fabric, how to basically make the liner work for your bag, because everyone's gauge is a little different. And that is all, I hope. I hope I didn't miss anything. If I missed anything, I'm sure I'll just pop it in within the video, but I figured I'd just go over a couple things that will be expressed throughout this video. I'm going to try to make it quick and easy. As you can see here, I have 2 squares already made. So one is bigger than the other. This one is 14 rows, and then this one is 13. So what we're going to do, the first step here, is we're going to add sides. And we're going to add the sides to the smaller square. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to add basically a side to 3. We're going to add sides to 3 sides of the square. Wow, that is a tongue twister. So I'm going to go ahead and add 2 sides, so they're already done, and then like off camera, and then I'll show you how to add, and then I'll basically explain it from there. And yeah, I'm going to set you guys up on my tripod and get started. Okay, hi friends. I totally lied and I said I was gonna make 2 sides off camera, but I was like, you know what? Let's just dive in and then see where we can get. So basically, you're gonna be putting your sides on your smaller square, and my smaller square has 13 rows. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna basically put sides on the bag on 3 sides. We're going to leave the opening alone, okay? So what we're going to do is grab our hook and the color you would like for your sides. I chose this ivory color, and we're just going to make a slip knot on our hook. So it's already ready. And you can pick whichever side you want to start with first. So I'm going to start right over here. And I'm going to basically make a slip stitch to attach my yarn to this corner. We're going to start in the corner, and we're going to chain 3, and then we're going to put 2 double crochets into that same space. So we're basically making a granny cluster. So there should be 3 into this chain 2 space, and then we're going to granny cluster in each space down this one side, including this corner as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right. So far, this is what I've got. Got a granny cluster in each space down one side. And from here, we're going to chain 3, and this is going to act as a standing double crochet. So this is going to just be a double crochet all by itself. We're going to turn our work, and now we're going to put a granny cluster into each space, down, and then we're going to put a double crochet on the top of this chain 3, which is the first chain 3 we did for this first row. And if you found this video from the pattern, you'll notice that there is a note that says that you can make your sides narrower or wider, but you want to keep it at an odd number. So me personally, I like my sides to be about 3 rows wide, but I did have a tester that did 5, and it's super cute. So totally up to you on how wide you'd like your basically your sides to be. There is a bug flying around. Oh my goodness. So I'm just going to keep going down. This is my second row, and I'm getting, my yarn is not cooperating today. All right, and I'm going to put 1 double crochet into the top of that chain 3, like that beginning chain 3 we did in the beginning when we started this first row. So this is what it looks like so far. I have 2 rows of the siding done, and I'm going to do my last and final row. But if you would like yours to be wider, go ahead and just repeat this how many times, but it has to be an odd number. Just trust the process. So we're going to chain 3, and we're going to put 2 double crochets into the space right here. And so this should be basically a complete granny cluster, because that chain 3 does count as a double crochet. And we're going to put a granny cluster or 3 double crochets into each space down. So all the way down. And we're going to put 3 double crochets right into this last space. And what I like to do here is that I put my last double crochet of this granny cluster on the top of that chain 3. This is just what I like to do. You don't have to do it. You can just go ahead and put another double crochet within the space. I just like to put it right on top of that chain 3. I'm unsure why. I just do it. And then I'm going to go ahead and fasten off this one side. So far we have one side completed, and now we're going to work on another side. So we're going to want this siding to be on 3 sides of the bag. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get this one started so you guys can see. And we're going to, again, start with a slip knot on our hook, and we're going to begin with a slip stitch and the corner space. So I'm working in the same corner space as this edging here, this siding is, and we're going to go all the way down. So we're going to chain 3, place 2 double crochets so it becomes a granny cluster, like so. And then we're going to put a granny cluster into each one of these spaces all the way down to this corner. So we're basically repeating what we did here to another side. All right, I made it to the end here, to the other corner space. And from here, I'm going to chain 3. I'm going to turn my work and start row 2. And basically, just like I said before, we're just going to repeat the rows on 3 sides of the square, just like so. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, and then I'll report back and show you how to attach this to the other square. Okay, once you have all your sides put on, just at 3 sides of the square, we're going to flip this over and have the wrong side up facing you, and then we're going to put our larger square on top, basically wrong sides facing. So the good side, the right side of the big square is towards you. And what we're going to do is we're going to basically attach the sides to the larger square. So I'm going just to flip this over, and we're going to start on the right side, so right over here. And let me grab my yarn because it fell. Oh, sorry. Okay. And we're going to start with a slip knot on our hook. And we're going to start in the stitch of the cluster towards us, not the cluster away from us. Like, this is going to be the opening. So this cluster towards us is where we're going to be starting in this first stitch. And then we're going to be attaching with a back loop only slip stitch to these stitches. Keeping the working yarn, this yarn here, behind our work will make the basically a seamless look. It won't be puckering. So I'm going to keep that behind. I'm going to insert my hook in the back loop only of this first stitch right here, back loop, like so. And then the back loop of the sides. I can't think right now. So back loop. I'm going to grab my yarn, pull through both of those loops, and then this one here. My puppy is wandering, so sorry if you hear her just walking around. And then we're going to continue this all the way down. So back loop of the second stitch here, back loop of the second stitch, slip stitch. We're just going to keep doing that all the way down. So this is what it should be looking like. All the way down until we hit that last stitch on the bottom corner. So working yarn is behind, back loop, and one way to make sure that you're staying even is that each one of these clusters should meet up with each one of these clusters. So that's one way to make sure that you're going in the right stitch. So I'm going to keep going down until I hit my corner. Move this down a bit towards me. It's moving away. I have a feeling this yarn that I use, this white one, like this cream color one, is like kind of old or something, but it's like super splitty. Super splitty. It's not my favorite to work with, but we're gonna make do here. Oh. If you guys are familiar with my scrappy cardigan pattern, this is basically the same technique as attaching the squares for the cardigan. Figured I'd throw that out there. Did I say attaching squares? I meant joining. Today. It's been one heck of a day. So we're gonna keep going down. And this last stitch here should be at like a chain 3 type double crochet stitch there. Okay, so I just finished joining one side, and what we're going to do here is we're going to skip these 2 chains, and we're going to just basically hop on over to this stitch and start joining this side. So we're going to leave the corners alone. So we're going to just hop on over to this stitch here, which is the first one of the cluster towards this side, this side. And we're going to continue down. And so this corner is going to be left open just like so. And this is going to be important for the next part for our liners, our liner. So we're going to continue the back loop, only slip stitch down this side. We're going to skip these 2 chains on this corner and hop on over to this stitch and join this side. And then we're going to go to the opening of the tote. So I'm going to do this off camera and then I'll meet you at the top. Okay, so I went ahead and did all my attaching the sides to the square, and I ended up right up here. So this was my last slip stitch, was to this last double crochet on this cluster and this one here. And from here, we're gonna start our opening, basically the opening of the tote. Leave these corners alone. Do not stitch them closed. You wanna leave them open. We will sew them shut later. I know it looks a little funny right now, but there is a purpose for that. So from here, we're going to see, oh, so sorry about that. I just kicked my tripod. So from here, we're going to single crochet around the opening. I usually do 2 rows of single crochets, and then the last row I do a crab stitch, which is basically a reverse single crochet. This is totally ultimately a maker's choice. You can make the opening of your tote thicker if you'd like. If you want to repeat the single crochets more, you totally can. Ultimately your choice. But from here, I basically just start single crocheting down this side, and I'm going to evenly place basically 2 single crochets within these little posts here. So you'll see like there's like a post here, here, and here. So I'm probably going to have about 6 single crochets. Yeah, 6 on my side here, and I'll mimic this on the other side as well. So I did 6 single crochets down this side. Rotate here, And now I'm going to put a single crochet in each stitch across. So there's a stitch here, not in the space, just a stitch all the way down. All right, I made it to my other side. So I'm going to evenly place those 6 single crochets. That way it's pretty much symmetrical on both sides. Down this side. And then here you'll notice, oh, my yarn keeps splitting. That's no fun. I'll tuck those ends in later. Okay, and on here you'll notice that this chain 2 space isn't worked in at all. So we're going to place 2 single crochets into this chain 2 space. Just like so. And then we're gonna single crochet down. And you'll notice that the other side of this square, the chain 2 space, also hasn't been worked in. So we'll place 2 single crochets in there as well. So with with the squares being uneven, just because of the math, that's why those chain 2 spaces are not worked into. Let me move you down. Run a single crochet all the way down. Oh no, there it goes. All right, and you'll notice that this chain 2 space hasn't been worked in, so we're going to put 2 in there. And then we're going to slip stitch into that first single crochet we made, and then we're going to chain 1. And then from here we're going to basically single crochet around again for the second time, just putting 1 single crochet into each stitch around, and then I'll be right back after I do that. Okay, I'm almost to the end here on my second row. And I just wanted to throw out here that I typically like to do my third row, which is the reverse single crochet, better known as a crab stitch, in an accent color. So this is totally up to you if you would like to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and color change slip stitch here. I'm just slip stitching basically to the first single crochet I made for this row. I'm just going to change colors here. Hopefully I have enough of this blue. It's I might be playing a little game of yarn chicken. We'll see. We'll see. All right, and so from here for this third row, if you want to add more rows to the top edging, I would go ahead and do that. You can pause this video if you'd like, but I like the look of 2 rows and then the third row as an accent. So totally up to you. And also this third row is totally optional. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 1, and I'm going to put my hook, instead of crocheting this way to the left like we normally do, we're going to crochet to the right. So I'm going to insert my hook into the stitch to the right, draw up a loop, yarn over, and make a single crochet. I might zoom in just so you can have a better look, so bear with me here. Okay, hold on. So we're going to put our hook into the stitch to the right, draw up a loop here. So we're going to pick up this yarn over, pull through. Put our hook in the stitch to the right, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through. So it's kind of a funny motion since we don't normally crochet to the right, but it does make a cute twisted look. I feel like the edging looks more complete with it for some reason. You may feel differently about it, but it basically looks like this, and it's super cute. So we're going to do the crab stitch all the way around till we get right over here, and then we're going to fasten off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera. Maybe I'll show you a couple more just in case. Insert our hook into the stitch to the right. Oh, I'm losing control here. Draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through. And I'll do one more. Put our hook into the stitch to the right, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through. So not too shabby. So I'm going to continue this and I'll be right back. Okay, so I finished my edging and I fastened off. I also weaved in a couple of my ends that were like straggling on the top. I did knot my ends here from my edging, and I only did that because I know the liner is going to cover that with the glue. So now that you're all attached, we're going to lay our tote pretty much flat as we can, kind of make it look somewhat symmetrical, like laying flat. And here we're going to measure our bag. So your corners should be open, just like you see here. And this is for good reasoning. So I will take my tape measure and basically measure how far from this end to this end here, like the corner. So this is about 1 inch for me. And so I'm assuming it should be about 1 inch on this side as well. There's like the sunlight hitting over here, so I don't know if you can really see. So yes, so about 1 inch also. So I'm going to write that down so I don't forget. 1 inch corners. And then here we're going to measure how tall our bag is and how wide our bag is. So for me, I'm at about, oh, let's see if I could lay this. It was like puckering a little bit because my blanket's puckered. So for me, I'm hitting about 17 inches. And then here, also 17 inches, which is great. So my seam allowance typically when I sew is about 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to add 1/2 inch to both sides. So I'm going to do 17.5 by 17.5 when I cut fabric. I hope that makes sense. So basically when we cut our fabric, we're going to cut it to the measurements of our back. So I'm going to pull my fabric out, I'm going to lay it out, and then we're going to measure it and try to cut to those measurements. So I need 17.5 by 17.5 square. And don't worry about the corners just yet. We don't need that measurement just yet until we sew. So let me go ahead and pull my fabric out. Put this aside for right now. And typically I cut my fabric on a fold. So if you don't know what that means, then I would just cut 2 separate pieces to the measurements that you just took. But basically, I like to cut my fabric where there's a natural fold, and like to see like how there's a fold here. So I basically cut my fabric 17.5 inches tall by 17.5 inches wide on a fold, so I don't have to worry about sewing the bottom. That's just laziness, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll be right back. All right, so I went ahead and cut my fabric on a fold. So there is a fold on the bottom of this, if I could undo it, on a fold. So so I don't have to worry about sewing the bottom. If you had to cut out 2 separate pieces, that's totally fine. You'll just need to sew the bottom. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to basically flip this to the wrong side, and we're going to press down the top opening piece, just one of them, about an inch down, maybe like, yeah, just about an inch. And we're gonna press that. And then after we press it, we're gonna unfold it. And you should see like there's kind of like a crease now right there. We're going to fold it again, like onto the crease, press, and then fold it over the initial crease. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me go grab my iron and I'll show you. So let me see if it's on. I don't even think it's on. All right, I'm gonna have to let that warm up, so I'll be right back. Okay, my iron is finally hot. So I'm thinking maybe this is like 3/4 of an inch. It's not quite an inch. So you just wanna fold it down and you're gonna wanna press it. You wanna try to be kind of even with it. And it should make a crease. Oh, look at me. I messed up right there. Don't worry, it's okay. Okay. I'm not perfect by any means, okay? So follow this liner instructions with caution. So then we're gonna unfold and you should have a crease right here. And we're just gonna fold it, this top part again, to the crease. And we're gonna press it. So basically what we're doing is we're basically just hiding this raw edge. Let me start on the edge here so I don't mess up again. We're just gonna hide this raw edge so like it doesn't unravel or, you know, do any crazy things while the bag is in use. It'll have a longer wear time. So we're just folding that to that crease line. All right, so now if I unfold this, you should see about 2 creases. See, 1 and 2. Just what we wanted. And now we're gonna fold, keep this folded, and we're gonna fold it again to that initial crease that we made and press again. And if you wanna make this thicker, you totally can. I think I did it a little thicker on my previous bag. I went down an inch, but it's not really necessary. You just wanna basically just cover or like hide the raw edge of your fabric. You just want to press. Perfect. Okay. And then what you're going to do now with this is you're going to sew, basically sew this down so it stays put, and then you're going to repeat it on the other side. And then I will do that and I'll be right back. Okay, I have sewn these together, not together, but like the seam down. I sewed the seam down on both sides, just like so. And then from here, you're going to stitch. Let me put this ironing board away because we don't need it right now. Let's shimmy that away. What we're gonna do is we're going to sew down the sides, and I'll do that and be right back. And after we sew down the sides, we're gonna cut our corner measurement that we took from when we had the bag laying down flat. So let me go and do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so I went and sewed my sides, and a little fun fact, it is the next day. I literally ran out of time when I was recording this yesterday, so just so you know, it's a little, the lighting is probably gonna be a little different, but it's okay. So I sewed my sides down, and it's just basically attached. I went ahead and added a pocket to mine. I won't be showing how to add a pocket in this tutorial, but I do plan on having like a smaller video on how to add a pocket to your liner. So my pocket just basically it's not that big. I would say maybe it's about 8 inches wide, and it's pretty deep. I made a pretty like long and deep top pocket. But besides the point, that is not a part of this tutorial. So I'm going to now basically measure my corner cuts. So the measurement that you took off your corners, we're going to basically make a square out of that measurement. So mine was 1 inch. So I'm going to need to measure 1 inch, and I need to grab my ruler, which I did not grab. So I'll be right back. So I was only able to find my big ruler, which is fine. So I usually use a pen, or I don't know, I think they have markers too that basically disappear with heat or water. So you can use a pencil for this, honestly, or even a regular pen if you don't have one of these readily available, because this is basically the wrong side, so no one's really going to see the markings on the inside of the bag. So what you're going to do is you're going to measure your corner. So mine was about 1 inch. So I'm going to basically line this up to my inch on my ruler. So I have an inch square right here. I will say that if you don't have one of these rulers, all you need to do is basically just measure the one side to 1 inch and the other side to 1 inch, and then kind of meet them together. So I know this ruler is kind of fancy. So, and my pen is kind of not working. Is it working? I can't even tell. I think it's working. So I'm going to mark that 1 inch square. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm going to do it to the other side as well. You see, how do I turn this? Turn it this way. Oh boy. This is how you know, like, I don't sew very often, or like this, I'm like new to this still. So let me turn this around, because usually I use like just like a regular ruler to do this. And I just make lines, but I couldn't find that ruler or even tape measure that I had yesterday while I was filming the first half of this tutorial. All right, so I went ahead and marked my corners. So I have 2 squares now, and you're gonna need a good pair of fabric scissors. Hopefully I can find mine. I have them. I got these from Walmart, and they look very fancy, but I believe they're only like $6. So I'm gonna cut these corners out. And no, I don't know how to cut straight lines. It never happens. So don't feel bad if you don't cut straight lines either. These are not meant to be perfect by any means. I can't ever get a corner. Okay, so there's one side. And then here is the other side. Okay, so these you can just basically pitch them. They're trash. All right, so now that you cut your corners out, you're going to, oh, I got thread everywhere. Okay, you're going to basically open like a bag of chips. That's usually what goes through my mind when I do this. So I stretch open the seam, and you're just gonna basically line up your cuts and make sure that they're aligned. And if you don't cut straight like me, it's not gonna be perfect. So this looks like it's a great spot. So I'm gonna just take one of my clips and clip this down. And then I'm going to sew this across. Hopefully that makes sense. Maybe I'll show that again. So here's your corner cut on your fabric. I'm gonna open the corner and basically try to meet up your, it's like, what are these called? Edges? Oh no, I'm losing words today too. Okay, and then you're going to pin it, clip it, do whatever, and sew a line here, sew that shut. And basically what that does is it makes a boxy corner once it's sewn. So I'm gonna do that to the other side. Uh-oh. Okay. And I'm gonna clip this down. I know, and I'm gonna go sew this and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back and I sewn, I don't even know that word, my edges, or, oh no, this is too funny. I can't seem to find words today. So I just sewed this shut to make a boxy corner. So basically your bag will now have the boxy bottom, just like your tote bag will. So should basically mimic the way this tote bag will sit. So this bottom is going to go right here in the corners, like so. All right, now that the liner is pretty much done, we can just set this aside for a quick moment, and we're going to sew up the corners, and then we're going to attach our straps. So I like to turn my bag inside out to sew my corners shut. This is totally preference. Like, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do this. Let me grab my crochet bag. Oh look, there's my tape measure. You can use the tails that you have from when you put your sides on. So I have like these two tails here. Let's see if they're long enough. I'm sure they'll be. So what I do normally is I just line these up nice, just make sure they're straight, and then I will just go in and out of the top loops, if I can get my needle through, and close it shut. And I will pull tight. Once I make it to the end, I should have some, oh, my tail is getting small now. Okay, so nice and closed. And then I'll just take this other tail and I'll tie a knot, because why not? That's good for right now. Okay, and then you're going to repeat that on the other side. So on the other corner, you're going to go ahead and close this one as well. Okay, so I sewed up my corners so they're nice and closed up. They're good to go. And I turned my bag the right side out. Is that the way to say it? Right side out? Okay, and then now we're going to attach our straps, because it's easier to attach your straps before you attach your liner. So attaching your straps is quite simple. Honestly, it just requires a little bit of time. So I flip my bag with the opening towards me, and I just do this so it's easier. And you're basically going to want to find which granny cluster you want to attach your strap to. I typically attach mine to either the third granny cluster on the second row. So like if this blue one here, I'd usually attach it to this one. Or if I want the straps to be just a wee bit longer, I'll attach it to the first row onto the fourth cluster. So typically I'll attach it either here or I'll attach it on the bottom here. But I'm going to attach it to the second row on this third granny cluster. So I'm going to take my ends from my strap and I'm going to put it through that space below the granny cluster, just like so. So now the ends are on the inside of the bag, and I'm going to just make sure that that's where I want it. And I'm going to do it on the other side as well, just to make sure I like the width of the strap. So I'm going to find that third granny cluster on the second row, put the tails through that space, and I think I like that. You can make them, you can bring the straps in closer if you like, or even wider, totally up to you. It really depends on how long your strap is. So I think this is where I like it. So what I do is I actually flip this that way. And I'm gonna just fold this first piece over. And I'm going to separate my strands. So for these straps I use 4 pieces, so I'm going to just use 2 strands of yarn to start, and I'm going to use that granny cluster, this one here, where it's going to be resting on, and I'm going to stitch in and out. So I put my needle through that granny cluster, pull it through, peek it through the cord, or the strap rather, and I'm going to go in and out, make sure it's secure. And then after I feel like it's pretty good on that granny cluster, I'm going to travel up to the top edging of the bag. So I'm gonna basically get my needle within the strap and like fish it through to get to the top edging, just like so. And then I'm gonna take my needle and basically weave in and out through the edging part. That way it's pretty on there. Like when you start putting things in this bag and it gets heavy, you don't want the bag to like fall apart. Like this part will like start moving and tugging. I hope that makes sense. So I'm basically trying to make sure that it is pretty darn secure on there. So okay, so I feel that's pretty good with these 2 strands. I'm going to take the other 2 strands from the tail, and I'm just going to repeat that same thing I did. Use this granny cluster that's on top, weave in and out of the strap, make sure it's nice and secure, and I'll show you guys a close-up of what it looks like in a sec once I get. Let me just pull these little strands better. Put one up here because why not? And then after I feel like that's pretty secure, I'm going to meet up these 2 ends with my other end here. Tie a knot. And voila. And I just usually trim this off because no one's really going to see that. And the strap is pretty connected. So let me see if I can zoom in. Let's hope I can do this. Aha. Okay. So the strap is pretty attached to the bag now. So I basically weaved in and out of this granny cluster on top. I fished my tails to the edging and attached the strap to the edging as well, so that way it's pretty secure. So now it's attached to this cluster here and the edging, and it's not going to go anywhere. I'm pretty much pulling on it and it's not going anywhere. So I'm going to repeat this on this side now, and then after you're done with this side, you're just going to flip your bag over, and you want to be even with this, because if you're not, then the bag is a little lopsided. You're going to find the same granny cluster you put the first strap on. I'm losing words again. And repeat it on the other side. And I hope that makes sense. So I found my 3rd granny cluster on the 2nd row, like so. Uh-oh, wrong tail. And there you have it. So I'm going to attach these off camera, and then I'll be right back to show you guys how to put the liner in your bag. Alrighty friends, this is the last part. So once you have your straps attached and your ends all weaved in, your corners are sewn shut, we're going to go ahead and add the liner into the bag. So what I normally do is I actually pull my liner the right side out. So like so. Poke those corners out so they're out. And then I actually flip the bag inside out. like so. And then I'm going to basically fold this in half and feed it into the liner. So I find this easier to attach, so like glue doesn't like get all over the place, and I'm sure it's gonna. So I will say this much, maybe grab a napkin if you are using this glue that I did recommend in the pattern. It likes to ooze out for some reason if you leave the cap off. So once you have your bag in the bag, it's funny, we're going to just make sure it's nice and straight. So let me do it on this side so it's easier, so you don't have to look at the pocket. Okay, so what I do is I'll take some of these binding clips. I do have these linked on the pattern. These are just, I think they're called sewing binding clips. I bought some of these from Hobby Lobby, and then the other ones I've gotten from my mother-in-law. I'm pretty sure you can find them on Amazon. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to look for the center of my sides that I added. So basically this cluster here, and line up that seam where we sewed to that center, or as close as you can get it. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I just kind of clip that down just so I know that's the right spot for it, so it sits even in the bag. And I'll do it on the other side as well. Find the center. And if I do sound congested, it's because I still am. Just figured I'd throw that out there and clip that down. Okay, so now that my sides are where they're supposed to be, it should be easy for me to lay the fabric down on the edging. So let me grab a napkin. I'm gonna have to reach all the way over here. Oh boy, I'll be right back. Okay, I grabbed a napkin, and I might have to sit down for this part. I've been standing for most of this tutorial. And you wanna have those binding clips handy, because these are gonna be your best friend. And what we're going to do is you're going to just kind of flip this part over just a little bit, or just kind of move it off the edging of your bag, and you're going to glue the edging down. So I'm going to place some glue. I was being smart and I put my glue all the way down in the bottle so it would stop oozing out. So I typically just place my glue on that edging where the 2 rows of single crochets are. I don't know why, that's just where I put it. I'll get down to that part. I'm going to probably put my cap back on, place it on the napkin, that way there's no glue everywhere. And then from here I'll grab the fabric and just basically place it right on top of the glue. I like the fabric to be underneath that 3rd row, which is the crab stitch, the reverse single crochet. And then I'll take these binding clips to hold it in place, essentially, just like so. And I'll continue this all the way down, like wherever I placed the glue. And yes, you'll probably need a bunch of binding clips. I don't know how many I use, but I do use a lot, just to attach the bag and make sure that the glue is like you want the liner to be exactly where you want it to be. You don't want it to be like moving around and stuff. Oh. Just keep gluing, clipping, all that stuff. See if I can get my... And you don't want to rush this part because you don't want glue to get everywhere. You don't want glue to, I don't know, get on your fingers, get on the fabric. Just like so. So you're basically going to repeat this all the way around the bag. and make sure that it's all secure. And then you typically should read the instructions on your glue. So mine takes about 2-ish hours to like settle, and then it takes about 3 hours to fully cure. And I will show you a finished bag. So once I glue this down, I just leave it just like so. I'll hang it like on something and let it dry for 2 hours, and I'll remove my clips. And removing your clips like very easily, like I sometimes actually remove my clips probably after an hour. That way like the clips isn't like stuck to the fabric, because that's happened before where I've left something for too long and it's like stuck. But yeah, that is basically, oh, I got a piece of thread just out. That's basically how you attach the liner to the bag. And then once the glue dries, your bag will probably, well, will most likely be inside out still. So your bag will be like so. And your edging will be nice and attached. So I glued this one probably a week or so ago, so it's pretty on there. And then you're just gonna flip your bag inside out. And it's done. And that is how you put the Maebelle Granny Tote together. I hope this tutorial helped. I'm unsure with all my word vomits or brain farts, everything, that you were able to like understand, but maybe the visual definitely helps a lot. Yeah, this is just a very fun spring summery pattern. I think these would do well at markets. I might bring a couple to, I have a fall show that I normally do every year, and I think these would do awesome at those. So this bag, I actually attached my straps to that first row of granny clusters, and like as I'm looking at it now more, I don't really think I like the placement there. I think the placement looks better like on the second granny cluster row. I know that was just like a side thought. That was a very squirrel moment of me, but I figured I'd just throw that out there. But yeah, so this is basically it, and I hope that it helped you. If you have any questions about the pattern, I do have an email I can post here on the screen that you can email me at for any help on patterns, or if it's just like a basic simple question, you can probably leave it in the comments below. Yeah, like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't. I do have some more tutorials planned out for the rest of the year, so I hope that you made the cutest Maebelle Granny Tote, and I would love to see it. So tag me on Instagram at Pretty and Pate. I would love to see them. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next one.